Ci avvaliamo anche quest'anno, come in prima edizione, della collaborazione di Rainer Strnad, che è il direttore della rivista DIY International. Prego, Rainer.
Buongiorno.
Buongiorno. Questo è il telecomando. Prego,
Grazie.
a te
Grazie.
la parola.
Purtroppo non parlo molto bene la lingua meravigliosa italiano, quindi continuo in inglese, mi dispiace. So thanks a lot, Julia, for having me here and for inviting me to your congress. Julia and me, we know each other for quite a long time. I think 15 years, and she used to be our correspondent for Italy for more than 20 years, I think. So the next 20 minutes, I'd like to talk to you about a bit what happens currently in the international DIY and home improvement market. And the question is, why did Julia invite me? It's because we are specialists in the home improvement publications, home improvement market publication. We are producing trade magazines for nearly 15 years in Germany. And as well, we do that as an international publisher. Formerly, we had a magazine called DIY in Europe. Now it's a website called DIY International. We as well have published statistics, very detailed statistics concerning the German and the German-speaking market, and we do so as well for the international market. Especially since 3 years, we are in close collaboration with EDA Gin and HEMA, the international trade associations and manufacturers associations. And in close cooperation with them, we published a home improvement report, Retail Worldwide. And I have thought could be good to talk about three topics this morning. The first one will be some figures of the home improvement market in Europe and worldwide. The next one will be I will share with you some information about the latest news and current situation on the market. And last but not least, there will be a topic concerning the concepts and formats in the current market. So let's start with the figures, and it's really a premiere for you. You are really the first ones we share, with whom we share our very current figures. They can come from our home improvement report. And as you can see, what you can see there, that these are the top 10 retailers worldwide. These are only preliminary figures, so we will publish the whole booklet in October, so then we will have the definite figures. So what we can see, of course, market leader in the world is US-American chain Home Depot, followed by Lowe's, and the first one from European continent is Groupe Adeo from France. And the next one is Ace Hardware, which is a cooperative actively in all over the world. And the next European one is Kingfisher. You might be a bit astonished when it comes to the growth rates. You can see the growth rates on the red or orange line, and particularly the strong minus of Adeo, of the Groupe Adeo, which is to be explained by the exit of the Russian market. Because in Russia, Adeo realized around about 20% of their sales formerly. When it comes to Europe, we see the top 3 companies. I just talked about Adeo with minus 17%. These figures here are adjusted for like for like, because we excluded their Russian engagement the year before. And the Kingfisher, Kingfisher, of course, they as well had a small growth rate in terms of sales, followed by Bauhaus in Germany with just under 1%. And of course, you know that Adeo is not only Leroy Merlin. You know, in Italy you have a Technomat and Brico Center, but we also have Adeo also runs Bricoman in France and Poland, or Obramat in Spain, which is more or less the same format as Technomat in Italy. So, in Kingfisher is not only B&Q, which is the main sales channel in the UK, but also Screwfix in the UK, and in France they are engaged with Castorama and Brico Dépôt. So when it comes to the sales figures for the top 10 retailers in Europe, they are led by Group Adeo, and the second one is Kingfisher. Adjusted in the euro, their growth rate is 1.2% growth, but in British pounds it's a minus of 1.5%. You might see that the Germans didn't grow very strongly. I will come back to that soon. But you always have to have in mind when seeing these growth rates that we had an inflation rate of more than 2% last year in Europe. So you have always to adjust the sales and the growth rates. That means that in a real perspective, they didn't really grow their sales. You can see that on the next slide. The added sales volume of the top 10 retailers in Europe. We had just one year with a minus, which was in 2023. A minus because of the enormous growth rates we saw after the COVID pandemic in 2020 and the following years. Yes, I just talked about Germany a bit, and for those of you who followed me carefully, they might have noticed that we have a change in the market leader position, which now is held by Bauhaus. And it's for decades it used to be Obi, who is the biggest, largest DIY retailer in Germany, and not only in Germany but the largest German DIY retailer. Now they are followed by Bauhaus. And these are the figures of the sales figures of the top 6 DIY retailers in Germany, not their international sales, but in Germany. And there's one strong mistake. The total is not plus 0.7%, but it's a minus. So I'm sorry for that. It's minus 0.7% for the top 7 retailers. And this is, of course, Bauhaus. Bauhaus is a specialist in large format, big box stores, which is not the same case for Obi, but Hornbach as well. They are doing large format stores. So it's a bit disappointing when it comes to their sales last year, but it's due to the economic situation in Germany. We have low growth rates, and the GDP and the housing market is slowing. That's the main reason for these not very good figures. So And this is the ranking of the top 10 German DIY retailers. It means their sales in Germany and abroad. Most of the, not most of them, but the leading ones, they normally do more than half of their sales in abroad. There's one exception, which is Hagebau, the Hagebau retail, known as Hagebaumarkt. It's more, we think, we're not sure, we think that it might be more a statistical effect there, a strong growth rate might be corrected when the report will come out in October. What are the current topics for the moment in Germany? We see Obi to rediscover the franchise model, and they get a lot of new franchisees from Hagebau, which is a cooperative, and we saw the switch of the largest Hagebaumarkt in Germany switched over to Obi in January, and there will be 12 other stores to be followed and 4 members of Hagebau to be followed. So that's for Hagebau it's a quite critical situation. But for Obi, they started a new strategy with when Mr. Gundel, the new CEO, took over 3 years ago. And that's what will happen also not only in Europe, but in Germany, but also in Europe. I asked Mr. Gundel about his strategy, and he answered me, franchising has made us strong. We will push ahead with it, not only in Germany, but also in other countries. And I'm thinking of Italy when it comes for enlarge the franchise model. I'm thinking of Italy, for example, but also of countries where we are not yet present, perhaps not in the short term, but I can certainly imagine that will happen in the medium term. So the German-speaking market is also built by Austria and Switzerland. In Austria, we had a small growth last year of nearly 1%. In Switzerland, it was the 3rd year in a row having a decrease of sales. And there are big changes currently happening in the Swiss market, because dall'estero, the home improvement channel of the Migros corporation, will exit the market in June. Lastly, they had around 30 stores, and Obi is going to expand there. They will have 13 stores, 10 existing and a new store, and they will take over dall'estero stores. And yesterday, Bauhaus came out with a new information. They also will take over 2 stores from the dall'estero chain, which is a bit interesting, because Bauhaus normally is specializing in big boxes, and the dall'estero stores are not that big. So it's a bit a new step for Bauhaus, and they also go to the Italian-speaking part of Switzerland. The figures from Italy, you know them better than I do, and of course you can get more details from Julia. And in France as well, we saw a decline of the sales. The French Home Improvement Retail Association, FMB, they communicated them after Easter, which were minus of 4.3%. The leading groups, they cover nearly 100% of the market. These are 4 groups. The first one, of course, is Adeo. It's just one chain, one sales channel who had a plus, which is Weldon. The second one is the British Kingfisher Group with Castorama and Brico Dépôt. They didn't perform very well last year in France. The third one is Les Moustiquaires, with brico-maché, brico-cash, bricorama, Badcore, Tridom. Really wasn't great for them as well. And the last one is Monsieur Bricolage, with also declining growth rate. What are the things people talk about currently about in Europe? Of course, I just talked about Obi and the franchise model, but it's not only Obi. It's as well Kingfisher with Castorama and Brico Dépôt, and Thierry Garnier declared in a statement in the press, I see franchising as a way to better operate certain Castorama stores and to open Brico Dépôt locations in rural areas where we cannot open them ourselves. So they also try to do that. This one topic. Another topic, of course, is what happens in Russia. Market leader Leroy Merlin left or exited the country. They gave over their stores to a holding coming from the United Arab Emirates, and the new operator changed the name to Le Manapo, and they changed the colors. And you have to have in mind that the market volume in Russia is nearly 30 billion euros, according to the Infoline figures. And Leroy Merlin had a part of more than 5 billion euros there. And that's how it looks like for the moment. The Le Manapo concept is yellow and no more green. The operating company is called Le Monolith company, which is held by Scenario Holding from the United Arab Emirates. Then we see that there are new players coming to Europe from Asia, and particularly that's the Malaysian chain Mr. DIY. They are continuing the expansion there. They started in Spain and in Turkey. And now they are also engaged in Poland since November 24, which is their 13th market. They announced to come to Hungary and the Czech Republic, and there might be plannings for Romania, Bulgaria, and Greece. They do not communicate very transparently. You have to follow their LinkedIn posts, and sometimes you get some hints what might happen with them in Europe. Yeah, we also already talked about the development in the US. So Home Depot had a plus for more than 4%, but it's only in the real figures. Comparable sales, so like for like, they had a minus of more than 1%. Just as Lowe's with a minus of more than 3%. In the Southeast Asian area, we see retailers expanding. For example, Mr. DIY in Malaysia, they had a growth of more than 6% last year. They expanded into a new market, which is Bangladesh, and now they are in South Africa as well. But it's not only they aren't only growing sales figures. For example, in Home Pro in Thailand and Malaysia, they lost their sales and they cancelled their plans to enter the Vietnamese market. As well as a Global House from Thailand, they wanted to go to the Philippines and they also cancelled these planes. All Home in Philippines as well, they reported declining sales rates. And there's another interesting development that is for Ace Indonesia. Ace Indonesia, they stopped their cooperation with the Ace International cooperative based in the US. And now the ExCo, they call them ESCO. What is interesting that last year in Ace Indonesia had quite good growth rates, and ESCO didn't continue this very high level growth. But let's see what the future brings for ESCO. Another topic is the online marketplaces. You know this topic as well. The Mano Mano is the only pure player there. It's a French company. Kingfisher, they do 1/3 of their sales on their marketplace. Laura Merlin is engaged in this market. Hornbach as well. Obi started in 24. The Maxeda Group, didn't mention them. Maxeda Group as well. Yesterday they reported growing number of partners selling at their marketplace. Bauhaus announced to enter the market of the marketplace, but so far they are not there. Yep. So, and one great discussion point is the impact of the trade war. We see the home improvement industry which is threatened by inflation, as far as Jim English, one of the leading experts of the US market, says. And in the first quarter, they had zero growth in the home improvement store industry there. And now the question is if Chinese products will come to flood European markets. So my third section of this presentation is about some new concepts, and I will go very, very quickly because I have only 2 minutes, if I'm right, Julia. So it's just a glimpse on some new formats. So I already talked about the Mr. DIY chain, very small stores, 18,000 SKUs. They come from outside Europe to enter the European market, but not only in Europe, but also in the rest of the world. And they try to adopt their stores to the local designs, local customer expectations. They do so, for example, in Indonesia, they do so in Thailand, but as well in Poland. We see some of the DIY focused change to enlarge their engagement for the for the professional customers, for example at Brico Dépôt, but also at Hornbach, for example, in Germany. Hornbach and Bauhaus, they do that in a very concise way, in a very structured and systematical way. We see also a tendency for smaller stores, for compact stores in Brico Dépôt, the Kingfisher chain in France. They have started to test stores. And even Screwfix, who is an expert of small stores and an expert of the online sales, they try to implement stores in the inner city locations. Another tendency is that discounting formats are gaining. We see that in Germany with the chain Thomas Phillips. They call themselves the discounter for home and garden. So far, they have nearly 300 stores in Germany. They try to open up to 10 stores for the next years. They are in Austria. They try to open there as well new stores, and they are in Lithuania. Next example for the discounting formats would be Baudi, operated by a member of the Eurobaustoff Group. And a small one in Germany is Bauaktiv, a subsidiary of the NBB Group, which operates the Bauspezi stores in Germany. And for example, one of their specialty is they sell their hardware by kilo prices. But the most interesting example could be Sonderpreis Baumarkt. Sonderpreis means a special price, so special price home center. The parent company is called Fischbuhl. And they recently changed their legal form to an SE, and they do that so to prepare themselves for expanding to Europe. But in Germany, it's so far it's the fastest growing chain. They are not amongst the top 10, but they're growing very fast. When it comes to discounters, you have to talk about Lidl. Lidl tries to, or is engaged in this market by its Parkside product range. And Euromonitor International say, from their point of view, Parkside is the best-selling DIY brand in Europe. So far, Lidl has one Parkside store in Hungary. There were rumors that they would open some more in Poland, but so far they didn't. So it's just one Parkside store in Europe. Another discounter comes from Sweden, which is called Rusta, more than 200 stores. In Germany, they have 10 stores. They will open another one in September. And it's a non-food retailer specializing on the home and home design market. That's how it look like, how their markets look like. And of course, they are focused on price. Yeah. And last but not least, we have the Action group, which is an enormous one, nearly 3,000 stores all over Europe in 12 countries, enormous growth rates. The current expansion takes place in Switzerland, and they will expand to Romania in autumn and to Croatia and Slovenia as well in next year. So this was very quick ride through the new formats. I say thanks a lot for your attention. Please go back to me if there are any questions. You see my contact data there. And don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter, which is for free. Thanks a lot.
Grazie mille a Rainer per la sempre interessantissima presentazione che ci porta con dati sempre nuovi dall'Europa. Bene, alla prossima volta. Peraltro volevo ricordare proprio di Action che in Italia ormai ha raggiunto i 150 negozi ed è veramente un caso, nel senso che tutti gli operatori lo stanno studiando e non ha e-commerce. Con questo vi ringrazio della partecipazione, rinnovo al 2027 con nuovi incontri e buona continuazione.